Firstly, thank you for taking some time out this morning to join us. Really exciting morning, actually. We're officially launching our remote control series by ReadyTech, which is, I suppose, something that has been in the works for a little while, but certainly promoted up the line of importance and priority as we find ourselves in these very unique situations. I think a lot of you on the session today are familiar already with ReadyTech and with JobReady, but just for those who may not be familiar, ReadyTech is a technology company that focuses predominantly on education and employment technology. And we've been in the market for over 20 years, and the product that you're most likely familiar with will be JobReady Live. And that's what today's session is centered around. But before I get into that, I just wanted to, I suppose, introduce the concept, the why, the purpose behind the remote control initiative, and then I'll introduce myself and Ben in a bit more detail. So my name is James Horn. I'm the commercial director at JobReady, which is one of the organisations under the ReadyTech portfolio. Joined today by Mr. Ben Conlon. Morning, Ben.
Morning.
And do you just want to give everyone a bit of a 30-second background on you?
Okay, so National Business Development with JobReady, been here for 4 years. Before that, a long career in employment services, both in Job Network, Job Active, Disability Employment Services and so forth. I like to think of myself as an operations person, so I'm very much an operational person, which means that I can translate technology into terms that are useful and understandable by the industry.
Excellent. Thanks, Ben. So to explore a bit further what remote control is all about, as many of you are experiencing, there's a real focus and a real push to try and move to a digital business model. Many of you are in different stages of that move, and what we're really trying to inspire here is conversation about what's possible, and try and give you as much information, as much guidance, as much support as possible as you go through this journey. For many of you, this has been part of a strategic roadmap for some time, and with the arrival of COVID-19, it's been brought into the spotlight, and how we move faster, more effectively, and without too much disruption to the business. And that's a broad spectrum of considerations. Many of your organisations are large scale, predominantly have worked in face-to-face business environments for a really long time. So there's not just the business operational shift, but there's a culture shift. There's likely to be a technology shift, which is where we come into the conversation. So the ReadyTech remote control series right now will be run over the next 6 weeks. And in that 6 weeks, we will explore different initiatives and different subjects around remote working and how that impacts employment services across the country. Today is quite an exciting kickoff topic. We'll be talking about the JobSeeker Portal and how that can help engage and more importantly, connect with your customer base, your clientele and your job seekers. Over the next few weeks, we'll be bringing in different speakers, different panelists, different presenters. Some of you will be familiar with, for example, we've got Dr. Darren Coppin from Isha House joining us next week. As many of you know, Isha House is a part of the ReadyTech family. So Darren will be exploring, how we can better support and service the job seeker through this remote model. So the run sheet for today is very much around introducing you firstly to the JobReady Live Jobseeker Portal. Ben will be steering us through that, I suppose, that journey through the portal from just a product demonstration perspective. The JobSeeker Portal has been something we've worked on for quite some time. We consider this to be a really important service asset for our customers and the broader market for some time. What we needed to do was make sure that we were able to successfully navigate the reaccreditation process with the department. And I'm sure many of you saw the comms that came out a couple of weeks ago where we were awarded or fully accredited under the IRAP framework, which was an amazing achievement, particularly for mine and Ben's colleagues who had to oversee that for the last couple of years. It was an enormous amount of work to get there, and we really appreciated the support of both the department and our customers to get through that. What that has meant now is that we're in a position where we can start to explore some of the other things that we can make available to the market. The timeliness of, I suppose, the JobSeeker Portal becoming now available, and the situation that we find ourselves in is why we really wanted to run with this first. So there's been a lot of changes around your service models. I'm sure Ben will touch on that as he goes through his product walkthrough. But I think it's really important. And the one point I really want to stress here is this is just about adding as much value and as much information and guidance as we possibly can throughout the next 5 or 6 weeks. Off the back of today, we will be recording today's session. So I would encourage you, and everyone that's registered, we will send the video recording to, and I would encourage you to circulate that amongst your organisations just for a reference tool, because I think it'll be really useful. And then there'll be an opportunity to reach out and connect with Ben independent of today if you wanted to find out some more information or take, I suppose, a deeper dive into how the JobSeeker Portal works and how that might work inside your organisation. Okay. So the JobSeeker Portal, I think it's relatively self-explanatory, but I think it's important, Ben, if you could give the audience a bit more context, a bit more detail about what it is, what it can do for them, and how they might use it.
Okay, so the JobSeeker Portal, it's really a remote servicing tool, right? But it needs to be thought about as your mechanism to interact with your caseload. So what that does is it allows you to provide resources to your caseload and to provide support to your job seekers remotely. It allows job seekers to apply for the jobs that you list for them, so your jobs. It gives job seekers an option to manage their own profile, so people can update their records. As you know, people are always changing their mobile phone numbers and emails and all those sorts of things, so they can manage their own profile. It will give job seekers the opportunity to notify you that they've found a job, so they can notify found unemployments, give you all the details you need from a compliance perspective. And it allows you to manage important documentation, well, both parties, both you and the job seeker, to manage that important documentation. There's a lot that can be done through the JobSeeker Portal. It really is a tool, and I'll take you through some of the ways that you can operate with that in a couple of minutes.
All right, cool. Thanks, Ben. So I suppose it's really important to understand that it's not just a one interaction tool. It's designed to. And what we've really found is it started off, I think, as being much of a communication channel, and how do you pass information back and forth with a job seeker when it's a more convenient time for them. So, expecting that they would want to provide evidence and interact with you outside of typical business hours, right? But what we're finding is it's becoming more of a connection tool. And one of the challenges that you guys are facing is, how do you stay connected to your caseload, to your job seekers right now? It's becoming more and more challenging to do that under the typical or the traditional operating model. So Ben will explore that in a couple of seconds. I think 2 things I wanted to raise, housekeeping I should have raised at the start. First is there's 2 opportunities for you to communicate with us on the session. There's the chat, which I've got open, and we've had a couple of people come through there already. I'll be monitoring that whilst Ben takes us through the demonstration. There's also at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a Q&A option there. So we have carved out some time for Q&A that Ben and I will facilitate at the end of the demonstration. But I will also monitor that as we go through the product walkthrough. So they're the two channels. We expect this will, run for about 25, 30 minutes, Q&A at the end, and then we'll go from there. All right. So Ben, I'm going to stop my share now and hand over to you.
Okay. Just a moment while I share my screen. Okay, so you should have, James, could you just confirm you've got JobSeeker Portal privacy documents?
I can confirm I can see that, yes.
Excellent, brilliant. Okay, so just while we're looking at this, firstly, welcome. The first thing is welcome to have a look at this JobSeeker Portal information. The second thing I'd say is thank you for your work, guys. I think that the work that we do in employment services has always been important, but in these times, it's going to become increasingly important. We are going to see, in fact, a tsunami of referrals, okay? And while these referrals are going to come through to us, at the same time, it's very likely we'll have the kind of social distancing issues that we've got now. So the question then becomes, how do we commence these people? How do we commence people remotely? How do we get them to sign off on the documentation that we need in order to start them through the process? So there's a lot of things that the JobSeeker Portal can do, but the first and most urgent need is to get people commenced into the system to get them to sign off on the documents. What you're looking at here is the Job Ready Live admin settings, where you set up the portal documents that you serve on invitation, okay? So when you invite someone to the JobSeeker Portal, you can serve these documents and they can sign those off as they establish their profile. So it's the first thing that they do. What that does is it takes out that step and allows people to sign off on documentation remotely. So if we have a look, if we move now to the job seekers, like in terms of how to invite people. This is a filtered to my caseload in here. And we can see under bulk actions, you can invite job seekers in bulk to the portal. You can also invite job seekers individually to the portal. So if we go through here, we can see that we can send the invitation as an SMS or as an email. So I'll just stop this share and move to the JobSeeker Portal itself. So basically what happens is Ethel or Mavis will get their JobSeeker Portal invitation. They will set up their profile. And when they go into the profile, the first time they go into the profile, they will get these privacy documents set to them. Obviously, they need to set up an account name and a password. They need to sign off on some terms and conditions, but they'll get a screen that looks like this. The first thing that they need to do in order to join the JobSeeker Portal is to sign off on these documents. So it's simply a matter of them agreeing to this document. Oh, and I need to sign in again, that's okay.
Just while you're doing that, Ben, the text around that terms and conditions acceptance, that's configurable for the user, right?
It's configurable for the user, yeah. So the text around it, but in terms of this stuff, I've read, understood, and agreed to the conditions of the document. This is based on what the department requires.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of toing and froing on that. Okay, so but I can agree to this document. So once I've agreed to that document, I can then go into my home screen. And from a job seeker perspective, we tried to keep it really simple, clean, and clear, okay? So there's a few things that people will want to do. They want to upload a resume, right? People will either be looking for a job, they'll want to say that they've found a job, or they will need assistance. So when somebody clicks on I need a job, this takes takes the job seeker to the jobs board. This is the jobs board that sits in Job Ready Live. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the list of jobs that you have entered into your system. What this allows the job seeker to do is apply direct for a job. They need to put a cover note. They can add a resume in here. Here we can see there's already a resume uploaded and they can apply for that job. We get back, thanks for your application, we'll get back to you shortly. I also get a notification. So once I've done that, the person that listed that vacancy in Job Ready gets an email notification that that person has applied for the job, and they get a notification as a reminder, for those of you who are familiar with Job Ready Live, as a reminder on their dashboard. For those of you who aren't familiar with Job Ready Live, I'll take you through that in a moment. So you can search local, state and national for those jobs and apply through the system. If we go home, go back to the home screen, the other thing that people might want to do, and this is something that people find very useful, is very popular, so they might want to notify that they've found their own job. Now, documentation around found own employment and identifying documentation around notifications of found own employment is a major challenge. Part of the reason is when somebody's found their own employment, they found their own employment, so they're working. They become more and more difficult for you to interact with. They become more and more difficult for you to contact because they're at work. And not only that, they've achieved what they wanted to achieve in terms of working with you. So this gives people the capacity to notify of a found own employment at any time, okay? So I'll just take you through So basically what they're doing here is giving you all the information that you need in order to lodge this. Okay, so once they've filled in these details, they can then submit that. They get this set of, they get this notification. So we go, thanks for this information. This is configurable by you, by the way. But in this case, we go, thanks for this information. Remember, you need to notify Centrelink, declare your earnings accurately. Please upload your pay slips as you receive them using our upload functionality onto your profile. So this upload functionality gives people the capacity to add documents. And if we see here, Mavis, this is Mavis Bramston that we're dealing with here. Mavis uploaded a pay slip on this date. We can also see here, this is Mavis's view, that she can see here that she's read, understood and signed off on all of these documents, okay? But from an FOE perspective, what we're seeing is they notify the FOE, they're taken straight to that screen and straight to that upload. So it's prompting job seeker behaviour and establishing a set of behaviour which is about providing you with the evidence that you need in order to make the claim, but more importantly, to track and support that person in their new job. Another thing that somebody might need in terms of interaction with their employment services providers, they might need support, okay? So the other section here that we've got is I need help, okay? So you can set a set of queries in here. These are configurable by you, but you know, you might say, I'm having difficulty at work, I've increased my hours, I need assistance, okay? So if I were to select, I need assistance, then I'd send that inquiry. What that inquiry does is it goes through to the to this job seeker's case manager, notifies them, and sits on their portal. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We keep it clean from a job seeker perspective, but we provide a whole bunch of information and a whole bunch of resources to the person. So again, the other thing a person can do is they can change passwords, make changes to their profile. This available jobs is simply the jobs board. They can also check and verify documents. They can upload documents. They can upload resumes. They can upload pay slips. They can upload all of those things. And also, you can provide resources to your job seeker in the form of links. You can link to websites, PDF documents, video, anything that you like from this perspective. And the contact us document talks to query type that we've spoken about. Some other things to note here is that this, logos are configurable by you. I'd put this nice ship in there because I wish I was on my boat, to be honest. Don't get the opportunity these days. So having taken you through that system, this is the job seeker view. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you to Job Ready Live, and what I'll show you is how the interactions that your job seeker makes through the portal are incorporated, tracked in Job Ready Live. So if you bear with me for a moment while I change my share. And I will go to okay, so there's a few things here. Actually, I'll go back to the dashboard. You'll see that I had a number of interactions with Mavis. Okay, so here are the query types. Okay, so this is the one this is a reminder for you to contact the person. This is where they said, I need work boots. But more important, here's a query type saying resume, documents uploaded, and here is the query type that is about them lodging their own employment. Clicking on that reminder takes you directly to the record, takes you directly to the reminders, your job seeker portal information. And here we can see that they notified that they completed part-time employment as a cleaner. This gives you the opportunity to go in to contact your job seeker, to verify that, to start the process of tracking that as a claim. Okay, here are the other queries that we're seeing. Okay, you need clothes for work, resume uploaded. So we're tracking every interaction that person has. Okay, if we go to job seeker portal information, okay, there's a couple of things that we can do here. We can change emails and set passwords. We can lock the portal account. But importantly, we can see login dates and times and every interaction that this person has had. Okay. The other thing that we can see are the privacy documents that person signed off on. Okay. So given that I showed you at the start all of the documents that went through, if you need to request those documents again, or if there's something that you need to sign off on, you can request that document again and continue that interaction with the job seeker. If we go to attachments, this will show you the attachments that job seeker has filled in. So we can see that they've lodged this payslip. You can view that payslip. We can see they've also filled in your third-party consent form. If we have a look at that third-party consent form, this is a common question, okay? So this is your third-party consent form, job seeker ID, all the details. And down the bottom of this, we can see the job seeker or the authorization. So when they consented, what IP address they consented from, decision I've read, understood and agreed to the conditions, and this is under the Electronic Transitions Act. Job seeker detailing form has approved the content of this form by way of an electronic acceptance on a computer or other electronic device. So from a compliance point of view, that's what covers you. Okay. Just bear with me.
So I can, that really rounded scenario that you sort of walked us through there, Ben, I think one of the things that jumps out at me is the centralization of the information. So what would, typically be maybe email threads that have come back and forth potentially to a central email inbox. Someone might need to then go and collate that and bring it back in and then pop it into a central record. What this has actually allowed them to do is bring all of that information into the one view, meaning that everyone that's associated or needs visibility over where that particular job seeker is up to, evidence from a compliance and evidence and a service perspective, it's now all available in the one location.
Yeah, it's very much consistent with the overall approach to Job Ready Live, which is about consolidating information, consolidating workflows, and establishing a single source of truth. Okay, so from the perspective, very often found out employment, for example, you get an email, you get a follow up, you get a reminder, you get any number of conversations that occur. If you can call your job seeker and say, look, I noticed that you've found your own employment. They've notified you of that. You give them the call, and that gives you the capacity to say, upload your payslip. They can take a photo. They can approach, however they want to copy that payslip. They can upload their payslips through the JobSeeker portal. Very simple, very easy for them. The last thing that I want to show you though is from the perspective of someone applying for their own job. We saw that Mavis applied for a job in the system. Okay, so here we can see when I go in, I'll get the notification because I'm the job seeker case manager. We see that person has made their own recommendation. That's a self-recommendation there. We can then go in and view the person's resume. We can view the vacancy, and we can take an action on that. Okay, so we can make the recommendation comments, and that will then go email back to the job seeker. So that detail will be emailed back to the job seeker so that they've got that information on whether they've been accepted or rejected for that job. That's a big bugbear for all job seekers where they apply for jobs and they receive no notification as to where they're up to. So we're really facilitating that two-way communication. And that really brings us to the end for this demonstration in terms of the broader outline on the JobSeeker portal.
Okay, thanks, Ben. We had a couple of questions come through. Maurizio, just to confirm, we will be circulating the recording from today's session. The guys will need to edit and cut it up, and we plan to have that out to you tomorrow morning. So that you can circulate that amongst your colleagues where appropriate. And Simon actually tabled a question wanting to know if there'd been a customer who had a situation where job seekers have not wanted to consent to using the portal. It's not something I've come across. Ben, is it something that you've had discussions with any clients about?
It's not something that I've come across, but as a mechanism, when you send out that portal invitation, it's more about consent to using the documents. Okay, so you do have the capacity to click a button that no, I don't want to sign this off here. I want to have a discussion with someone and send that back. Where someone doesn't want to use the portal, it's obviously they're right. And yeah, but you can, it's not something that I've come across, but it's certainly possible. And there are alternate methods that you can do for that.
Yeah, I think if we were to travel back 7 or 8 weeks, that would probably be more of a contentious point for some, but I think that there's certainly a more of an acceptance from everybody that things will need to move to a more digital driven service model. So and I think that's job seekers included in that. So if they feel like they're getting a great experience, a great service through the portal, then I think they'll be more than likely to opt into that.
Yeah, I think One of the comments I'd make also is that you need to look at this as a mechanism for you to interact with your job seekers. It's difficult in a demo site to show the strength of the resources section, but you can serve. It's all about content, isn't it? So in that resources section, you can serve job seeking tips, you can serve video, you can link people through to your marketing materials, you can do all those sorts of things. So it's about the value that people get from that, which is really around content.
All right, excellent. Now we've had some good questions actually come through. Mark, uploading pictures from your phone, yeah. So I'd like to say that we had an influence over this with the smartphone providers, but there's actually default settings in most smartphones now where if you attach a document from the platform, it will automatically ask you if you want to attach something from your image library. So yeah, that's out of the box. David asks, do we need to invite a job seeker to use the portal? Could this be automatic? So the answer is yes to both of those questions. So we do have clients that want to still have that layer of validation. So as the referral comes in, they still want to interact with that before they send the email invitation, but we could certainly set that up to be automatic. Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, if the notification goes to the caseworker dashboard, what is the workaround for access for others to manage if the caseworker is on leave? Ben, do you want to take that one?
Okay, so where a caseworker is on leave, you can reset the case manager, the manage by for that person while they're on leave to the person that's covering for them, or you can allocate tasks as they come through to another person. So if I'm going on leave, I get a bunch of notifications today. I can allocate those tasks either manually to the person that's covering for me, or I can change manage by on caseload so they will get that person will get that notification.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Ben. Karina, phone app. We got this quite a lot over the last 12 to 18 months whilst we've been working on it. Basically, it's not in an app form at the moment, but what you can do is bookmark the link. So that's becoming more understood as I suppose as a way to interact with the website, but there's definitely still some education that would be needed with the job seeker, how to save that link and have it save on the phone, appearing as an icon, just like an app, but with all of the security measures and protocols that come with having a fully realized website. So some of the challenges with an app is the security maintenance around that, and we get far better coverage and far better security comfort with using that bookmark option instead. Chloe, actually one for you, Ben. When uploading a pay slip, is there an option for them to select the dates the pay slips are for, or is it just an upload with the document with a descriptor?
It's an upload of a document with a descriptor. However, if you when you for the FOE notification, you can put whatever instructions or whatever suggestions you like in there. So if you want to make a suggestion, please upload your pay slip with the dates against it, then you can do that.
Okay, I think there's an opportunity for us to explore exposing a date range field against that.
Yeah, I suppose the thing with the demo site is it needs to be all things to all people. Do you know what I mean? So if you want to explore some of the configuration options, then by all means get in contact with me and I'll go through those with you one-to-one.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Ben. Lisa, is this feature only for those job seekers on your active caseload? Will it work if you have manually added a job seeker?
Yes. Short answer.
Yes for your actives, and yes.
Yes. Basically anybody that's on your caseload, so whether they're pending, whether they're active, whether they're a direct reg, whether they're somebody who's been referred through ESS, anybody that sits on your caseload.
Okay, cool. David, JobSeeker Portal only allow providers to send documents to them after they have commenced in our service, or can we send them in advance prior to commencement with us so they complete some of this? Yeah, so
absolutely.
I'll let Ben's quite enthusiastic about this. I don't know if you could pick up
on that. One of the things I really like about the portal is that it allows you to send that documentation prior to commencement. So you notice a lot of that documentation were the things that you would normally do at a commencement interview. They kind of boring, you know, let's go through this form, let's sign off on this form, all of that sort of stuff, which takes away from the time that you're actually interacting with the person, right? So it's a great thing. I really like it. Like even back, what seems a million years ago, we found that people using JobSeeker Portal were saving on average 10 minutes on an initial interview just by allowing people to sign off on that stuff before they arrived. So yes.
Short answer is yes. Okay, thank you. Samantha, if the job seeker uploads the payslips, will it duplicate into the wage history in JR Live?
Will it automatically drop into wage history is the question, I imagine. The answer to that's no. You still need to do some manual stuff in there. You also need to follow the post-placement support workflow in terms of adding that stuff in and verifying that conversation's occurred.
Okay, cool. David, does the job board application process auto screen out inappropriate self-referrals? It would be an admin nightmare for staff when heaps of job seekers apply and having to screen out each inappropriate application.
Okay, so this is a question around how much agency do you give your job seeker? Do you know what I mean? So the answer is no, right? It won't auto screen, okay? But having said that, you can put in your vacancy applications, you could put in checklists, you can put in things that people need to check off on, otherwise the application will not go through, okay? So what we're trying to do here is to give your job seeker opportunity and agency, but you can manage that process by setting criteria when you list your vacancy that are very strict.
Yeah, I think it's a really important point. We've really just scratched the surface today, and there's a ton of other config that we can do inside the admin layer that can start to realize some of that richer functionality that I think it'd be worth exploring. If you've got any more questions, to come directly to us and we can facilitate that one-to-one. Just another question's come through, Ben, around candidate matching.
Yep.
Do you want to just talk to that quickly?
So where's that? Sorry, I missed it. Could you do me a favor?
So candidate matching function for listed jobs. So the ability to build out the skills list and then match job seekers.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's candidate matching function in job seeker attributes that you set against your job seeker, and then you can use those attributes and occupation types to match against your caseload to match. Yes, is the short answer.
That's all out of the box as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One more question. Actually, no, two more questions. Has DES been considered for this function, for example, an education outcome option as well as an employment option?
This is person lodging their own, lodging an education outcome, like self-lodging, I imagine, an FOE for an education outcome, is it?
I think so.
Look, the short answer is yes. This is configurable to DES. In terms of education and employment outcomes, then that would be a configuration issue that I need to talk one-to-one with that person about. More than happy to do that.
Yep. Okay. And can job seekers update and add their own skills and attributes in the job seeker portal?
Again, that's a configuration, not out of the box.
No, the short answer is yeah. We can configure that so that they can. Right now, most of the scenarios we found with existing clients that are either in testing phase or are using it have not opened that capability up. But yes, the intention is that in time, people will start to adopt that. Yeah. And one question from Peter: when client notifies found a job, do they get asked to supply an ABN?
No, it's a short question.
No, no, that's true. I think there's still some admin validation on the other
Yeah,
side.
look, what we're trying to do there is to give you the information that you need to follow that up. In order for you to track that claim for outcome, you're going to need to do some admin around that.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
you need to list the vacancy, list the employer, all those things.
Quick one from Daniel at SYC. Can you add your own forms to the portal? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. And you can do that. You don't need to come to us for that support.
Yep.
Okay. What I might do now is just quickly share my screen I think we've got about 5-6 minutes left. But I thought it was important to talk you through what's coming up next. So Ben, thank you for that walkthrough. That was very, very interesting, very useful.
Very welcome.
I do think there's going to be a lot more questions that come through outside of today's channel. So on the next slide, I actually share your personal information, I think is what you wanted me to.
Tremendous. Name, address.
But we'll talk about that in a second. So as I said at the beginning, the remote control series is part of a much bigger piece of work that we're doing to try and help and add as much value as possible to both our existing customers and the broader community. So today was all about the JobSeeker Portal. I get the sense that you found that really interesting and useful. Next week, next Thursday, we have a session on your employment service model and how it can thrive in our new environment. The following week, we're talking with a subject matter expert on moving your service delivery online. And then the week after that, we're talking specifically about employment consultants and how we can make their lives easier and better in this new digital world. So I encourage all of you to get to the website, register, sign up, communicate amongst your colleagues about the next few weeks worth of content. In the meantime, just again, a quick thank you to everyone who attended today. I hope you found it really useful. We'll be sending out the recording and the email follow-up tomorrow morning. In the meantime, the information you need is here. So Ben's email address is on the screen now, and a link out to the Job Ready Live page if you want to know more about the platform and products. We've got one more question. Okay, no, just a comment. Thanks, Katrina. Excellent. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you next week.